Trauma dumping. Interesting. I'm Empathic Sight, and today we're going to talk about what trauma dumping is, how it impacts us, and what we can do about it. So trauma dumping, what is that? It is unloading emotional pain or traumatic experience on someone, oftentimes without checking to see if they're able to take that in or if it's something that they're ready for. This can often be overwhelming and happens without warning. So, for example, let's say you're having a conversation with a friend and all of a sudden they start talking about a very emotional breakup. Or they just start unloading on you about a traumatic experience that they've had. It can often make you feel exhausted and bombarded. So why does this happen? Why do people, trauma dump? So oftentimes people struggle to have healthy outlets for them to process and to express their emotions. So unfortunately, that's why it happens to the people they love. They just go, bleh, this is what's wrong with me, or not, it's happening to me. Another thing is they need to be heard and they need to unload, but oftentimes they don't understand. They don't realize that it's taking a toll on the person they're talking to. They don't understand that by telling you what's going on for them, it's actually triggering you. So it's oftentimes without intention of harm. What are some of the impacts of trauma dumping? So what happens? Okay. So for the person who's being dumped on, they often feel exhausted, overwhelmed, and sometimes even triggered. Because sometimes this stuff can be pretty heavy. And if we're not ready for it, right? The emotional side of things is that the relationship can be strained. If one person is constantly dumping on the other person, then they could feel emotionally used. They could feel like they're exhausted, and all you want from me is to give me all of this kind of thing, right? The third one, and this is for the person who's doing the trauma dumping, is oftentimes they're dumping on the people that aren't professionals, that don't know how to help somebody heal from trauma. So therefore they don't get the feedback that they should get, and they don't get the healing that they need so desperately. So here's 4 things that someone can do to avoid or to prevent, let's say prevent, someone trauma dumping on them, okay? So the first one is to be honest. Tell someone if you're not in a good headspace. So if someone says, hey, I really need to talk to you, be okay to say, I'm really not in a place right now where I can give you my full attention. And sometimes that might not be taken very well because they really, really need to talk to you. But it's definitely helping because you're setting that boundary for you. The next one is to offer resources. If you're not the person to be taking it in, refer them elsewhere. So know that, okay, there are resources out there. There's support lines, there's counseling, there's groups, there's so many different things. So if something is happening for this person and you're not the person they should turn to, then there are resources that you can send them to, okay? The next one is to set limits, okay? So, and that doesn't mean like, oh, no, we're not talking after 4. Remember that sometimes all of this can be overwhelming. So if they are going to talk to you, tell them, okay, let's talk about one thing at a time. Let's talk about one little thing. And then maybe when that's kind of dealt with, when we have kind of a plan for that, then we can move on to the next thing. So that actually helps to help them through it as well. And the last one is self-care. I'm always going to come back to self-care. So if we're setting our limits, if we're being honest, if we're offering resources and it's still happening, what can we do for ourselves to recharge and refill that cup? That's really, really important, especially if we feel like we're being exhausted and overwhelmed because of trauma dumping. So just remember that you have the right to protect your space. and to set those boundaries within your relationships. Trauma dumping does not have to be part of your life if you communicate what your needs are. If you're not able to take it in, then express that to other people. Chances are they'll understand. So I would like to set a reminder for you guys. I would like to set a reminder for you all. So the next time that somebody says, hey, I really need to talk with you, I challenge you to check in with yourself. Make sure that you're in a space where you can take that kind of information in, and use these strategies if you're not, because your time, your emotions, your energy is valuable, and you have the right to protect them. I hope this was helpful. Please remember to like, follow, subscribe, and share, and please leave a comment down below if you have any questions. And as always, thanks for watching.